All right, cool. Let's we can jump right into the Q&A and we can raffle off a couple questions and then we'll bid ourselves out of here.
New chip, then all we need to do is never to go
So
get the whole new camera.
I think in this side of the world, it's time for adult beverage.
You guys are just now starting?
We've been so busy talking to you.
Oh, no, that was the whole point. You were supposed to start drinking at the beginning.
Oh shit.
What would you like?
Well, it's so late. We gotta amp it up. I'll take tequila.
And you?
The,
Yes. Okay.
no, not tequila.
I don't know. I started with a little daiquiri as soon as we started.
Oh.
All right. Well, first question. This one comes from Vans on Twitter. Aside from cameras, what does Sub2r look to create in the future?
Aside from cameras, basically, well, if you take Sub2r as itself, we want to expand out what supports the camera. So, anything from battery packs to 3-axis gimbals to displays, things like that would extend that on. We'd love to get back to our core tech, doing the 3D imaging. I think that
Real-time 3D imaging.
Real-time 3D imaging in color was
pretty much the idea that you can, with a very portable device, you can build 3D map of anything as you go.
Yeah.
And record it.
And the video,
imagine Google Map, but made in 3D. Anywhere somebody goes, you can, just like a portable 3D capturing device.
Right. And this and the technology we developed is really cool. So it's got a lot of very powerful applications going forward. Would love to get to a point where we can get back to that.
Right.
As the point cloud.
And then there's other things we want to do around the camera. One of the dreams we've always had is to have a studio where people can come in and stream or make podcasts or videos using our equipment with our people there to teach them and help them to use that.
Okay.
And then we have a nonprofit that is looking for ways of bringing sustainable economics to very rural parts of the world. One project we did was in Coban, Guatemala. And what's interesting about places of the world like that is that while they don't have they don't have houses with floors, they have dirt floors and tin roofs, they have internet.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids play video games.
Right.
So being able to set up a place for kids to go and stream and be connected with the rest of the world is something we would love to do, because it's a way for them to generate income. So from an economic basis, it brings revenue from outside of the community into these very rural places. It connects them with the rest of the world and the world with them. So you can learn, hey, what goes on in the jungles of Guatemala, right?
Right.
People like to grow up there. And what they need is they need equipment, and they need someone to administer that, to watch out and mentor them. And so these are the kinds of things we'd love to do going forward. And
Okay.
Serge and I were driving down to LA one time, and I said, we were actually going to demo our camera with a couple of people. And I said, this is what I want to do. I want to take the camera to people and let them see what they can do with it and play with it. And, we'll get someone to run the company, but I want to go out and play.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is what's exciting to me. So
from the technical aspect, camera is just a getaway. This is just the door that we open. The fun starts after this point because it was built. It's an intelligence inside. It's a mini computer that you can start thinking about. What are these pieces of software that we can start developing? Which is, we talked about Holy Grail. The long-term goal is to implement an artificial intelligence to reconstruct the picture.
Whoa!
So what it means is,
so
a lot of people deal with issues, low light, darkness, and all that. And that picture gets destroyed as long as, if you don't have any light source, a very poor light source, it's very difficult to recover details. Everything's blurry, everything's lost, so it's pretty bad. the very sophisticated algorithms out there, that is some of those white papers, some of those are actually pushed through the
manual process.
Manual process, right? They do exist, but they don't have platform to try it on. This is the platform to actually start implementing those algorithms. It's a trainable algorithm. It's a really fascinating piece.
Okay.
Anybody can almost anybody can participate in a training. You can train an algorithm that deals with a very particular aspect of the environment itself, and it can be shared. But the end result is, it's from a really, really, really poor looking picture, you can reconstruct it just like it was the shot was taken under the sun.
And so what happens now in the camera is you have a very linear pipeline. You demosaic the image, and then you adjust certain parts of it, you know, the contrast or the brightness or the saturation, and you move through the process until you output it at the end.
Right.
So with AI, you can rip all of that out, and you can say, what did you start with? And what do you want it to look like at the end? And that's one algorithm in the middle.
Okay.
And to be able to do that, you need to be able to learn. That's the big challenge with algorithms. Right now, artificial intelligence with cameras is that a dog or is that a chair? Am I looking at a person? Am I looking at a giraffe? You know, I mean, but it's not processing the image. And to be able to process the image, you have to know what you started with, what you ended with, what happened in the middle, and especially at the end, what a human thought was a good looking picture.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an ASIC, if you have a closed loop system, you don't have access to that information. You can't extract it. We have an open architecture, so we know exactly what the image looked like the minute it left the image sensor. We know what it looked like at the end, and we know we can put in a methodology for learning where the user says, that's a good picture.
I want that. Right.
I want that. And then when you collect that information, you say, okay, now we're seeing what's happening. And one of the beauties of what we've built is the ability to foster that, to grow that kind of technology that doesn't exist in a non-programmable camera.
Right.
And that's kind of Serge's dream, Igor's dream. We'll get there next week.
All right.
Think about it this way. We are at the verge of introducing something that folks just not familiar with. It looks like a camera, but it's actually a platform.
Right.
Imagine as the PC was introduced a long time ago. Nobody had any idea. So what is this exactly? Is it a calculator? Is it something more, something less? It was difficult to grasp of what that technology can do. It took some time before, well, it became of what it is right now. Everybody is very much familiar of what I can do, what anybody or somebody else can do. We are essentially introducing a new platform. And it's incredibly difficult to explain what it is because we constantly finding ourselves pretty much saying, yes, it looks like a camera. It does what the camera should, but that's just the very beginning. The rest of it is what inside. What is the computing that you can do inside the box before you get the final picture of what it will be, what it should be. Anybody's guess.
And the digital imaging algorithms that we use today that are in every camera in some variation, even the shot on this
campaign.
Camera.
Yeah.
Those algorithms were developed in 1975.
Wow.
And there's been very little change to those algorithms because everybody is stuck with the same process.
Right.
You know, there's variations on the theme, but the mechanism is all exactly the same. Until you change that mechanism, you don't have a way to create something new. And what we have done with this camera is we said, it's programmable. We can change how the process works.
You like to fidget.
Yeah.
And if you have an idea for the algorithm, who you gonna call?
Right. The surge protector,
right now,
that's
you've got
who.
no technology that would allow you to implement your algorithms. That's what the platform is. It's like a computer. I write this software. I'm going to upload it to a PC environment and let's see what it does. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
Earlier, when you guys were talking about not getting cameras back, somebody in chat gave him the name the Surge Protector. Thought that was very fitting.
Yes.
All right, next
Yeah.
question from Middle Age Stream. I'm saving my dollars to get one of these cameras. I'm not much of a tinkerer, though. What are some of the simplest modifications to the Sub2r camera someone can make that can really improve its quality?
Lens.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, coming from somebody who has done both modifications of the camera itself and one set it and forget it. I mean, you plug it in, you do your color grading, set your resolution and frame rate, and then you can leave it if you want to, you know, and that's kind of the greatness of it.
I would say lens and color substitution are two very powerful things. One of the things is it tools.sub2r? What did Igor write? Is it tools.sub2r? I think it is. I could be wrong.
I had my 2 sips already of champagne, so.
Oh, so anyway, yes, it surges over the edge. He's a lightweight. As big as he is, he's a lightweight. We have a tool in there that you basically give the distance from the camera and how big of a box you want to have as your field of view, and it calculates the field of view of the lens that you need for your environment. And as we go forward, what we're hoping to do is be able to match that with a lens and say, the closest lens we offer, or the closest lens you can get to this that works with our camera, is this lens. And that way, when the streamer says, I'm going to be really close to my lens and I want a wide field of view, this is what I want. Or I want a cinematic look, so I want a really nice depth of field, this is the lens you want. Or I'm really in a dark environment or really in a bright environment. The ability to change lenses is huge for a streamer.
Yep.
The ability to get rid of the need for an expensive, green screen and deal with something that is easier to light. You're not trying to light all the shadows and do all this crazy ass stuff. That helps. And then going beyond that is some of the other things that we're going to be adding to the power of how much control you have over the image,
Which
to
we're not
really
talking about today.
differentiate you from anyone else. Now, just using color substitution, what Duncan likes to do is turn himself into Twitch Prime. So he goes to this whole thing where he substitutes out the background to nothing and then turns himself into this cartoon purple.
Yep.
It's the ability to create an artistic expression of yourself that differentiates you from everybody else out there. And the more tools we can give you to expand on that, the more you'll be able to differentiate your stream and more personalized your stream becomes.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have a certain color palette.
Right. Absolutely. If you couldn't tell.
Yeah, no. And I haven't seen the clown all night long.
Right. He's hanging there.
I hate clowns.
Speaking of lens, right? We went through a lot of options.
Oh God, yeah.
So when we call stock lens that comes with the camera, it's a really high quality lens. We didn't compromise on lens at all. You can go and experiment whichever lens you like to use it for whatever needs and purposes, wide angle, short depths of field, that's up to you. But the stock lens provided is going to give you the ultimate experience.
Yeah, we went through a lot of lenses, and as we talked about earlier, our partners, Evitar is our lens partner, and they make the lenses we use from them are chromatically correct and optically non-distortion. So they're beautiful lenses. I mean, they're these little M12 lenses, but they're absolutely gorgeous quality. And that's one of the things that we wanted to provide people is that, you can change lenses. And that's a big difference in your stream.
Oh, absolutely.
Just the lens alone.
Now, speaking of lenses, right, even though we've somewhat showed room, a big one that sits across the room, but keep in mind, because of the sensor that we use is significantly smaller from, let's say, full frame or for thirds, et cetera, right? It's going to work as the glorified magnifying glass. you can't just put it in front of you and expect that you will fulfill the image. No, you're probably going to see an eye or two at best of yourself, right?
Right.
We do work on sometime in the future, we are building partnership with another third party that may help us with the introduction of the so-called speed lens. That's essentially a mini adapter that sits between the sensor and the main lens, that you can refocus the big image that's coming from the large lens and focus it on the smaller sensor. And that
Oh.
with that nice, juicy, milky appearance that a lot of DSLRs do today. And you can do, the fancy one, which is I only want to have my face as an image that is in focus and sharp and all nice, and everything else becomes like a bokeh effect.
Yes.
So if you think
Streamers
about it,
love bokeh.
yeah, a DSLR lens makes a circle about this big when it's focused, and we need a circle about this big.
Right.
So right now, if you put a DSLR lens on our camera, you're only going to see the center of it. What we're doing is developing a lens adapter that brings the DSLR lens down to the same size as our image sensor.
Ah, okay.
Which the other thing we keep glazing over, but the camera board is interchangeable.
Yep.
As we come up with new camera boards, and we've got a number of them in the works, you don't buy a new camera. So for the streamer, yes, this is an investment, and we realize that. But when we come up with a new camera board, you don't buy a new camera.
Right.
You buy a new camera board and update it. It's just like when you have a gaming PC and you want a new graphic card.
Or RAM.
You don't throw the PC out the window.
Right.
You put a new graphic card in. We designed the camera to be exactly the same thing. You just upgrade the camera board.
Right.
It's a perfect analogy, because we keep motherboard for a long time. You're going to keep motherboard the same.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the camera board concerned, for motherboard, it's going to get the same signal. So it's completely agnostic to the motherboard. It will understand, doesn't matter if it's another chip, a new chip, or whatever it is, the signal that comes to the motherboard for the processing purposes isn't going to change until we come to the point when motherboard needs to be replaced. God knows when, at some point. At the moment, we don't have any needs for it because it has enough power.
Yeah, right.
Nothing stays forever, right?
It's a pretty massive little beast inside of there. So,
Oh, absolutely.
Vonda was kind enough to remind me you've got other questions.
Yes, but before we go, just one little, just because of.
No, I love tangents.
Yeah. So wait. We were visiting Knox, who runs Goblin Cavalcade down in LA. Really sketchy part of town. And when we show up there, I looked at Serge and said, "You will protect me." And he looks at me and goes, "I run faster than you."
Serge, I'm gonna need one flex from you. If you're gonna give us a little bit more information, we're gonna need one flex. Jesus Christ! Oh my God!
So those people who don't return cables, remember that.
Serge protect, but he also attack.
You like kneecaps?
Yeah.
So just one perk, even though, let's say you don't have a speed lens, anything like that, and if you have a big lens, like let's say from the DSLRs or some cinematic one, you can still use it if, for example, like myself, I don't want to be in Richard's face. If it's a dual, for example, stream,
I don't want him in my
an
face
engineer
either.
who runs all and everything, including cameras, I don't have to be anywhere near Richard. I actually have it far away. I can have a full control over it without being in the streamer face. Or if you do it on a venues like, for example. So that allows you a pretty good advantage over otherwise more traditional way of capturing anything. Unless you go overboard with tech stuff. But,
Right, which some people love to do.
yeah. Of course, if you got mountain of cash sitting doing nothing, nothing's preventing you from going all the way into hundreds of $1,000s worth of equipment, that's what you need, go for it. What they try to do is to bring that quality down to a little bit more simple folks, somebody who can afford without compromising on the quality of the picture you get. We're trying to bring that advantages of the high-end equipment to the masses, so that everybody can produce a high quality content, which is these days. And probably a lot of people found themselves skipping videos just because it's a low grade. 360p, I don't know, I'm not going to watch it. 480p, I'm not going to watch it, right? They're now getting used to at least 720p. Maybe that is like almost the lowest considered resolution and a frame rate that the average user these days accepting as the quality content.
Let's face
absolutely.
it, what button do you press on recreational content when you want to see the quality, right? It's always
HD, absolutely. Recreational, age appropriate. What does Serge know about age appropriate content?
Right, exactly. What's dancing girls behind me, right?
All right, next question comes from Salty Sam. How did you go about finding content creators to try out your prototypes and work with your team to get to the production camera you've ended up with?
So it's two ways. Bon Whiskey has been an amazing person to work with. He's our community manager, for lack of a better term, liaison. And a lot of people that we've met have come through Bon. And what we look for in those people are not people who want to plug something in and see an instantaneous result. We want somebody who first understands who we are. We're not a big, mega giant corporation.
3/4 of the company are sitting here.
Yeah,
right.
You've got 3/4 of the company sitting here. The other quarter is sitting in Berlin, sleeping right now, right?
Oh, he made it okay finally, huh?
Yeah. So this is it. I mean, it's our personal savings. It's everything, right? So we're a small little startup, and we look for people like yourself who are intelligent and want to explore and want to have fun. And that's the kind of person we want to have. That's the kind of person we want to have as an evaluator. The people who just want to plug it in and say, oh, this compared to X, no. And actually we have an internal rule. We never compare ourselves to another company. They built their product because it fulfilled a specific need, and
10 years ago.
Do amazing things, right?
Yep.
But don't stay ignorant. What we do internally, we are asking question, can I achieve the same?
Exactly.
That's how we compare internally. We're not going out and saying, hey, look at this one versus us, pounding on the chest.
So when it came to things like frame rate, we went out and bought a millisecond clock, and we put ourselves against a whole bunch of standard cameras and said, how do we perform against a millisecond scientific clock? And you can see that every 16.6 milliseconds, we generate a new frame, which is 60 frames a second. The lower end cameras don't. They sacrifice that.
Yep.
For various reasons. If motion capture is important to you, if smooth motion and clean, crisp video is important to you, then what we provide is an advantage. And we stand behind what we say. So it's very, very important to us to not push the marketing puffery of up to.
Right. Or Serge is going to get angry.
Yeah. And you don't want to see him angry.
No, I do not. And I think I can be proof of that too, as somebody that has used 2 different cameras across 3 different PCs. We've had our quirks here and there, but you can bet your ass that it's going to be smooth. All right,
Yes.
final question comes from Sonder. Any thoughts on experimenting with in the live music world to possibly give Marshall and Black Magic a run when it comes to small form factor cameras?
Oh, hell yes. We want to piss off everybody we possibly can. That's may not be the company's goal, but it's my personal goal.
Right.
Is to upset a whole lot of people. So one of the things we looked at from the music world is why we put these really great microphones on board. These are sub 26 dB studio quality mics. What I would love to see is our camera in every cafe and nightclub around the world,
That's a lot of cameras.
where people could live broadcast what's happening in these studios.
Right.
Do you remember the name of the artist in Yerevan that we love?
No, but I know who you mean.
So there's this group called The Band in Armenia, and the woman is an absolute incredible voice. I would love to have our camera broadcasting her around the world, both visually and from an audio standpoint. I would love to have our camera in every single one of these environments to give people the quality of audio and the quality of video that brings that experience home.
Right.
And that's what I mean, if we could do that, that would be phenomenal.
It's a
And
dream.
yeah. I mean, it would be great. And that's what we want to do.
I found her.
You want to pronounce her name? Because
No,
you can
no,
pronounce her
no,
name,
no,
I
no,
can't.
No.
You have to know that Bonda's father is Armenian,
Okay.
and we have a great relationship with that country, and the engineers that are there. Very amazingly brilliant people. And there's an artist there that is fabulous, and you're going to have to pronounce her name because I will
I
slaughter
really
it,
don't want to.
but you're going to have to.
Karina Arustamian.
Oh my. Okay.
Exactly.
Incredibly beautiful voice.
Yes.
Like I said earlier, I would, honored by someone telling me, you won't believe what I just did with your camera today,
Right.
like Fallon in Southern Australia. I would be honored if our camera someday live streamed one of her performances in a
Okay.
nightclub in Yerevan.
I got you. All right.
That to me would mean we've arrived.
Right.
We've done what we set out to do. And that's why we're here.
Right. Well, I would say that is a fantastic note to end on. But before we get out of here, I want you guys to take like one last, not one last chance, but one last opportunity to say what you
One
guys,
last chance.
say what you guys are, like what you're about. What do you have coming up? I've got links to everything for you guys in the chat if anybody is listening that is curious on checking out Sub2r. But feel free to use this last opportunity to just kind of close it up.
I'm going to say I talk too damn much.
No, there's no such thing on this podcast.
Yes.
Like this is considered a short podcast.
So I will say this, and then I'm gonna ask Vonda and Serge to respond, is that this is a life's passion. It has become the passion of our community and our partners. And to me, it is insanely rewarding to be at a place where we've actually brought this to life, to make it something real. And it's people like you. You're one of our test pilots. You've seen the test pilot video.
Yep.
I mean, you've been with us through the worst
Right.
and now with the best. And I can just look forward to the amazing things that we're going to do together. I mean, this is exciting to me. This is what we've worked so hard to make happen.
It really is. And I know, I'll say it 100 times over, but I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys taking the chance on sending a camera to me. So like, what's this bald-headed loud guy gonna do with this camera? He's got a clown hanging in the background. Did we just fuck up? But I appreciate you guys taking a chance, letting me mess around with it, because it's been a fantastic experience working with all you guys.
Oh, and we we look forward to doing a lot of exciting things with you going forward.
Absolutely.
Serge.
By the way, Knackers, you match our collective, I'd say, behavior rather perfectly.
Yeah.
What we do sometimes, especially when it's late night, there is no other way to continue doing this. If you're too serious about it, we're damn serious about it, but not to the point of that we don't realize that it has to be some kind of fun factor to it.
Absolutely.
We support each other by throwing jokes, doing some really crazy stuff. But with the small community, you can't have any other ways of doing this. Now, speaking of the community, the last words that I'd like to put out is that it's all about community, much like streamers.
Oh, 100%.
Community, without the community, we are nothing. We are talking to ourselves. Without the community, our product is nothing. If it's not used by the community, it serves no purpose. As you and everybody else always shout out, we need your support. Community, we need your support.
Yep.
We have a product out there. We stand behind the product. It's a very small, passionate group of people that try our absolute best to piss off a lot of corporations. They've been in this game for so long. You guys been crying out loud. We need this. Nobody heard you. Nobody wants to hear you. They're too busy pushing MBOs every quarter, and you name what the heck else they need to do, right?
Yeah.
We are trying to offset the scale. We want to do something that hasn't been done for a long time, which is a community, if you will, supported small company for the time being, but focused on it's always a duplex. We are asking and we are listening.
Right.
And everything that we've done so far is based on what we've heard from the community.
And who am I to argue with a muscular man holding a number 2 pencil? Like, I don't want you to go John Wick on all of our asses,
the
okay?
whiteboard behind him is company confidential.
This is to put in perspective, me against the pencil, right?
Yeah.
Some streamers may hide behind it, but no. How many width of the pencil I have?
And just remember those guns if you're an
Yes.
evaluator and you don't return my goddamn cable. Vonda, our president and chairman of the board,
I am.
and one of our key investors. What are you're passionate about this. We wouldn't be here without you.
Our ignorance is our biggest strength.
I mean, if we weren't so stupid, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, right.
Thank God we didn't know what we didn't know. Because every time we hit a roadblock, we would have given up. But because we didn't know any better, we just kept going. It was, okay, so one more problem we have to solve, one more issue we have to figure out how to deal with it. And there's something to be said for not knowing that you've hit an insurmountable wall because you don't feel it, you don't know it, you don't think it, so you just keep plowing forward.
We're the bumblebee.
Yeah, we are the bumblebee. So I think we're just going to keep going.
Is it good to be here?
It's insanely rewarding to be here.
Oh, yeah.
And when you said the other night when we were programming the first 20 cameras, guys, we actually did it. It occurred to me, oh my God, we did. We just didn't even stop to think about it.
Yeah, we haven't done anything except tonight
Yeah.
to even acknowledge the fact.
And
of
there
what
is a
we've done.
reason for it. It's because for us, it almost feels like the very beginning. We didn't even stop to celebrate just because we made it this far. We've got whiteboard of features that have been waiting for the hardware to exist, and a platform, as I keep calling it. We needed that platform to exist in the first place. Just like imagine a PC, right? And all of a sudden, if you accumulate 40 years of the software developed up to this date, right, for the PC, that's our whiteboard.
Now, he means that's Serge's wish list.
Right,
That's a-
yeah, the wish list.
And you wouldn't believe what I need to have done that has gone by the wayside to make
Right.
Serge happy. Because who's going to argue with those guns?
Right, you got to hit the gym a little bit more, Rich, to stack up against that.
You know, like, doesn't happen, man. You know, he wins every time.
I'm not going to challenge it.
I am standing between the user and the quality.
Yes. Somebody's got to be the muscle man. Somebody's got to be, the coordinator, whether it's
Yeah.
I'm the one
physical.
who says this pixel is off. I'm the
Oh,
one who says
we-
I see delay.
We have a
We
term.
have a term. It's called SND, and it stands for Surge Noticeable Defect.
Oh, SND. Okay.
Because no other human in the world will see it except for Surge.
Yeah.
And so long as those exist, we're not allowed to release something.
And seriously, he will look at this. He will look at something and say, "This pixel is different than this pixel," and I'll look at it and go, "Yeah, what?"
Excuse me. Bring out the monocle just to make sure.
So I mean, you have that balance of trying to make something work and producing something of exceptional quality, and then doing that with a phenomenally limited budget.
Right.
And that's one of the things we ask people who are evaluators of our product, is to realize that we're 4 people with a dream who have built this company from our personal savings. And we're not a giant corporation. We're not like Apple that has got trillions of dollars of cash in the bank. We're people that are just like anybody else. And we've sacrificed a lot to get here. And what we've accomplished, when you step back and look at it, is pretty amazing. And that's one of the things I had to remind myself of the other day was, this is a 14-layer board that has 16 pairs of 1 gig channels in it that moves 4K of uncompressed data through it with no latency.
In a little box.
In a little box.
Yeah.
And we did it. And that's something that no matter what happens from this point forward, we can stand up and say, we're really proud to have accomplished.
100%. And got to have that.
And we couldn't have done it without people saying, keep going.
Yep.
Keep doing this. Keep moving forward. People like yourself, people like Nathan, people like Knackers, people like Brendan. They're all these people who have been behind us and saying, keep going, keep doing this. And we don't give up.
There is just an interesting flashback. At some point, we always here now and then getting in touch with the pretty big names out there. Wouldn't go with the names of the companies, but believe me, pretty high up. Something you never end up not even facing the person, probably not even being in the proximity of 100 miles. And one of those individuals told us something very interesting. He said, even all and everything that I've done in my life, I can never say that I've built something. That was an interesting realization.
Right.
That a person like that would say, look, I actually holding in my head a piece of technology that you can always be proud of because you actually build it. All I have, image, words, nothing else to it. I can't show a product to leave behind. That was quite a realization.
I remember
for all
who that
of us.
was. Yeah. That was an amazing meeting.
And that's one thing that everyone should keep in mind is like, do you want to go and then leave nothing behind, or do you want to leave something tangible and say that you've built something? And that is something that I 100% stand by.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I tell people, I just want to leave the world pissing off a lot of people.
Yeah, that's me too. That's right.
It's not going to be hard.
Yeah, right.
Got a couple people that are probably already pissed off at me.
That means you're doing something right. Well, where can everybody find you? Website, social medias, where can everybody get in touch?
It's really easy. We're at sub2r.com, SUB2R, which stands for a subsidiary of 2R, 1Y.
Our core company.
Our core company, which stands for,
Oh, come on.
everybody knows now.
2 Russians, 1 Yank.
Yeah, and you can guess who's who.
I love it.
Cameras are for sale now. We're in production, and we're actively looking for people to evaluate them. And
Don't get freaked out if it's not as beautiful at first as you see it on the broadcast.
Right.
Because search doesn't come with the
But
Oh,
one
camera.
thing for
God.
sure, that's what it
So-
can do. So training and manuals will
Yes.
be your friend. Everybody is always like, "Man, what's manual? Throw it in the garbage." I'm
The
never
wiki.
gonna- No, this time around,
you need
you're
them.
gonna read it.
Yeah.
So we also have a term that Bonda has coined, which is about what we look like
What?
unapologetically industrial.
Okay.
We're not out to look like a slick smartphone. We are a piece of serious equipment,
Mm-hmm.
and serious equipment has a look to it and a
weight
functionality
to
to it and a weight to it. And
We
we
don't
just
want you to be afraid of touching it,
Right.
putting it, pushing it.
driving your truck over,
It's a
although that
durable
voids a
piece of
warranty.
equipment, Yes.
Yeah, right. But yeah, we'll do it. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, but don't expect something slick and plastic and glossy, because we designed functionality before we designed.
No. Don't go
What?
there. No, because every inch, every millimeter of that housing of that camera design, everything is thought through. You can't.
Yes, we spent a lot of time on the functionality of it, and Serge spent a lot of time on the beauty of it, all the way down to, no, this has to be 1,000th of a millimeter to the right or the left. Trust me, that has gotten us into more shit.
That's why we have the rails to make it look pretty.
Yes. Speed rails, are something that will, you can gloss it up, you can make it, customize it to, well, you're not even using yours
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
picture. The one with the cool side rails?
Yeah, it's got the purple and aqua side rails on it.
Okay, it doesn't look like that in the picture, but that was,
The picture or the camera feed that you're looking at right now?
yeah. It just looks like one solid color. I
Oh
don't see the
no.
really cool.
No, there's no light on that one. Hold on, I got you. See that?
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
I wasn't gonna not use those. You kidding me?
Yeah. No, so we can bling with
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah. Bling with us and Surge.